Hello, Tyler.
Hey Annie, let's talk some more.
Yes, today I would like to talk about interviews because you work for an investment bank. You have interviewed many people, and your area is a cross between finance and IT software. Now I think it's the hottest area.
Yes, and interviews are very important for your life, your career, in several ways. One is getting into a better college, just getting that little bit of edge by getting to a better college, getting into a little bit better of a job, getting a raise or promotion at your end of your review. This ability to sell yourself, and that's what an interview is very important for your quality of life and for your ability to make money.
As an interviewer, what are you looking for? Are you just looking for the technical side or the person in general?
The person in general for my type of role, because in my role, it's very interactive. And we look for people with leadership skills. We look for people who can explain themselves. And you might have very technical people, but if they're not able to explain themselves, if they're not able to tell their story, then that's the first thing that says you might not be the right person for this job.
Yes. So can you tell me what are you looking for exactly?
Exactly, looking for a balance, not just one big strength and lots of weaknesses. For my role, I look for compatibility with others, understanding of what we need. Right, that's a big thing. Whatever job or role you're applying for, you have to have an understanding of what they're looking for, what they need, not just how you benefit from them.
So some people, they are introverts and some people are extroverts. But sometimes the introvert, although they are not good at answering questions, when you give them assignments, they can do it very well. This happens especially toward a lot of Chinese engineers. They, first of all, are shy. Number two, English is their second language. So what would you want to tell these people when they're getting in an interview? How can they sell themselves? What they should pay attention from eye contact, voices, tones, and the content of the conversations. Can you just tell them what they need to do to improve themselves?
The first step is knowing your own story. Because people get so caught up in their career and their school, it's hard for them to step back and realize what they've accomplished and how they have been so successful. That is a big part of the self-promotion, is not just doing the work, not being good at what you're doing, but also being able to explain what you did and why it was so impactful. So that's step number one. You have to know your own story. You have to know what you did, what the impact was, how significant it was, and why it makes you special.
Yeah, I want to ask some very basic questions. For example, if someone shows you a resume, does it need to be printed on a nice paper, or the quality of paper doesn't matter? Number two, if they are getting dressed, do they need to dress formally? In the IT industry, a hoodie is accepted during an interview.
Dress up for your interview because that's the first impression. Are you taking this situation seriously? Are you taking this conversation seriously? Give that impression that you are taking this conversation very seriously and that you are enthusiastic about the job or the position or the college. Show that you are interested in what they do and show that you're interested in what the team or the department does. Showing that level of interest and professionalism will go a long way in giving a good impression that you're not just looking for a paycheck or a position. You are actually interested. That's what's very good to sell, is that you're very interested and you're very enthusiastic.
Yes. And what about the quality of the paper I mentioned earlier?
The paper, I would personally just expect, if you're in person, make sure to have something printed out. Don't just assume that they're going to look on their phone or look in their email. Have something printed out as far as the quality of the paper, Nothing over the top.
Yes. So, what about some of the portfolios or things you have done, or the videos of your achievements? Are they necessary to bring to the interviews?
It's good to have them in your head, at least. And always be prepared to tell as many as 5 different stories that sell yourself from different angles.
What angles can you tell me?
So when you tell your story, you know your accomplishments. You should have a sense of what strengths or abilities you displayed through each of those. And what you should be prepared for is to tell those stories. Give the answers that you want to give. Don't just answer the questions. Tell them what they need to hear. Tell them what you need them to hear for you to sell yourself.
Yes.
Don't just give yes or no or a list or things like that. You need to explain. You need to give examples, give stories.
Yes. Yes. So even say the question is not directed to what you want to answer, but if it's related to what you try to convey, you can just direct that conversation to what you want to talk about.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
You're a salesman.
Yes.
You are a salesman when you are trying to make more money or get a position.
Yes. So is smiling a must? Because some people, they look very serious. They don't know how to smile, so they don't look very friendly. Do you recommend them to learn to smile?
Absolutely. Try to stay comfortable, right? Because when you're nervous, when you're clenching your fist, you're feeling tight, your body's tight, you're not going to be able to have a natural conversation. Just bring a natural conversation that tells your story. Show your enthusiasm.
Yes. What about like an introvert? They tend to think before they talk, so they'll pause for a few seconds. Is that good or bad?
It's better to pause and to have a focused answer that is on point and demonstrates your story is applicable to the question, rather than to say things that aren't very relatable to the position.
Can you tell me some of the typical questions an interviewer would ask?
Always be prepared to answer what your strengths and weaknesses are. No matter whether it's for a college, for a job application. If you do enough interviews, you'll always get asked that question. So when you talk about your strengths, again, focus on telling a story and what demonstrates that strength. When you talk about a weakness, give yourself a compliment sandwich. Compliment sandwich is a positive and then a negative and then a positive. You could say is, or one thing that I am weak at is I'll get very focused and then I'll forget about other people while I'm working.
So it's actually a compliment.
Yeah.
That's
so,
a compliment sandwich.
Yeah. So this is how I compensate for it. I will make sure to take a break every 30 minutes or once an hour and just do a reality check, see if anybody needs me or if anybody's been trying to talk to me and I didn't notice. And always portray things in a positive light. If you have a negative experience, portray it in a positive light, what you grew and learned from it. If you have a weakness, try to portray it in a positive light.
Yes. Do they ask things like, what do you see yourself 5 years from now? Things like that.
Yes, it's a generic question. I would say that's much more common in end-of-year reviews, where you want to show your ambition.
Yes.
And your areas that for growth that you have a plan for.
Yes.
So part of that is seeing your weaknesses. How are you going to compensate for them? Seeing your ambitions. How are you going to reach your long-term goals?
Yes.
And make sure that you accompany everything with a plan. Don't just give yes or no or one sentence answers. Be ready to explain yourself in detail.
Yes. From our culture, we don't like people that are cocky. Being modest is very important. And here I find even Americans are very verbal, but bragging is bad. How do we avoid bragging about yourself and sound conceited? at the same time, you try to demonstrate how great you are?
Number one, don't undersell yourself when you're trying to be modest. And to show that modesty, adjust your words that you're using, your vocabulary. Say things like, I had the opportunity, or I was given the opportunity, or I was fortunate enough. Getting out of college with an electrical engineering degree, I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to start working in computer science. And that shows my transition as a fortune and luck rather than something that I'm bragging about.
Yes.
And same thing with projects. I had the opportunity to do this, and this is how I showed my strengths.
What are some common problems you see when people doing their interviews become like a setback for them?
One is not knowing what the position needs from them and requires from them. And the biggest indicator that somebody's not the right fit is you ask them a question about technology, in my case, where their answers are totally unrelated to what you do, or they don't even know how to answer the question. Some skills are generic, like programming. In my case, where I work with Ansible, for example, and I ask somebody about Ansible and their questions are just so different from what we do, it shows that your experience isn't relevant to what we're looking for. And if I ask you questions about what we do, and you like simple questions, and you can't answer, it shows that you have a very narrow focus and you have a very narrow experience. So having a broad experience, having that desire for more knowledge, having that curiosity will go a long way for you personally and in your career, because you don't want to be too narrow.
Yes.
You don't want to just have one thing that you're very good at and then you don't know the basics about anything else.
For an engineer, if you find that personality to be boring, it's okay as long as he can deliver. But for like college applicants, do you think sounds boring will just be negative?
Yes, you want to be able to show how you can benefit the university as well, as far as enhancing the campus culture. How will you be a good roommate? How will you add flavor to the campus? How will you add life to a crowd? How will you be a good representative of in the alumni network? How will you be a good comrade in projects? How will you be someone useful after graduating? And how will you portray the university in a positive light after you graduate? Somebody that comes off as complaining about things is never good. Like, never complain about your school, never complain about your previous job when you're doing an interview, because that is part of the image. You want to portray a good image of wherever you're at and wherever you're going.
Yes.
One example question that could come up in any kind of position would be, describe a team project you worked on and what role you took. Be ready to explain a leadership role if possible, as far as organizing, planning, or even just reminding people, helping the team stay on track. And if there's no leadership role, explain how you were critical in team success and worked well with others.
Yes.
For a college, why did you choose this major? This is an example where you don't want to say something generic. You want to make sure that you stand out. You can explain why it's more than just a temporary interest.
Yes.
So try to tie it into your personality or your lifelong hobbies or interests. Go beyond your school experience and delve into who you are. Be ready to explain why you're a good fit from a personal level, not just from, I have a slight interest because I took one class and it was fun. It needs to be deeper than that. What activities do you find rewarding? What are your hobbies? Focus on out of school or out of career. What makes you interesting, influential, and stand out? What gives you character? How do you bring life to a crowd? How will you contribute to the culture, the campus culture, the work culture? How will you be an interesting, compatible person to be around?
Another thing is about your family. Where are you from? are these things important in college interview? Because, in Chinese culture, the interview likes to ask about the family and to find if the family will be useful for the company, if you can bring any practical things to the school. So I wonder here if the same thing.
I think that's a good point, and that raises the point that you should sell yourself as far as selling your family and your parents' success.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I talk about where I'm from, I just make sure that it's a comfortable conversation. I'm showing that I'm not anxious, I'm not worried, I'm just talking like I would to a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is just showing that you're able to relate with people and relax.
Yes.
It might be an icebreaker even. They might even ask that just to help you calm down if they see you're nervous. Just ask some easy questions.
Yes. Do you want to keep going, or do you just normally stop at a certain point and for them to ask more questions? Sometimes if you keep going, they can interrupt you. So which one is better?
I tend to answer very in depth.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody answers very in depth, I don't feel the need to interrupt.
Yes.
I let them tell their story. It's really the interviewee's job to sell themselves and tell their story. I might have follow-up questions, but I will wait for them to answer first.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll get generic questions that sound like a yes or no question, or even might be off topic, right? So one time I was getting interviewed and I was asked about my electrical engineering hobbies or skills or something, and it was just totally off topic, and the guy said something like, well, why aren't you looking for an electrical engineering job? You won't be able to do that here. Or just something kind of threw me off balance like that. That's where my supervisor to be, my next manager, he said something like, you got to talk about what you want to talk about, right? He kind of laughed at how I got thrown off balance when he said, but you didn't talk about software engineering, right? I said, you didn't ask me about software engineering.
Yes. Yes. I think sometimes they try to give you a hard time to see how you react when it was a little bit uncomfortable. If you can react very gracefully, it's a plus.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes you'll also get these questions or comments that are just seem to be there just to make you angry or uncomfortable. Right? And you just gotta stay positive and focused. Sometimes for a job, that might be an indication that it's not a good working culture if they're being aggressive with you, if they're kind of being dismissive to you. It might be a bad sign for the job itself, but at the same time, if you need the money, if you need the position, you need to learn how to handle that, because sometimes you'll get dismission of your accomplishments. Like, that sounds like a disaster, or I would never do something that way, or that doesn't sound that special. You might get comments like that.
Yes.
Just stay calm and be able to recover from that gracefully.
Yes.
Explain yourself briefly about why you think it was special, or why you feel like you contributed to the team's success.
Yes.
Another thing is you will get some very generic questions that could sound like yes, no, or just a list, or just one sentence answer like, what was your graduating GPA? And the obvious answer is just the numeric answer.
Yes.
But what you can do in a situation like that, you can go into talking about the classes that are relevant to the subject.
Yes, or you can say, oh, this GPA is very easy for me. I do a lot of other things like the band or, extra curriculum. GPA doesn't mean everything to me. So it means, he or she could have been better.
Yeah. And then what extracurricular activities? Give more than just a list.
Yes.
Be able to give life lessons that you learned.
Yes.
And examples of teamwork or camaraderie that you experienced.
Yes.
How you contributed.
Yes.
What do you think you can improve on? Very similar to what are your weaknesses. Be flexible to answer similar types of questions, giving the same kind of story. If the wording is off a little bit, Just adapt your answer. Give yourself that compliment sandwich. While I'm very good at X, I could improve at Y. And this is what I do to counterbalance my weakness.
Yes.
Another one you might get at a college interview: do you plan to pursue a graduate degree? Another yes or no seeming question, but explain your ambitions. Be prepared to give an example focus area that is intriguing to you.
Yes.
And this is where you can show your enthusiasm.
Yes.
You can show your research.
Yes.
Do some homework on what's available to you and what the company needs from you or the university needs from you. They need researchers in their graduate degrees. So explain why you think that you would be good at or be enthusiastic about research and what kind of topics interest you that are very focused. Another generic question that sounds like just a list: what are 3 adjectives to describe who you are? And tell stories for each of those. What skills do you expect to gain through this college degree? Show that you have considered the long-term impact of your decision and won't change or regret your decision to pursue this degree. What kind of career appeals to you? How will you give your university a good name in the workplace? Expand on any of these questions that you get. Tell stories. Explain how you will benefit the people that are interviewing you and what you're bringing.
Let's move on to the career interviews. What type of questions companies tend to ask?
For end of year, this is where knowing your story and knowing your accomplishments is so important. You actually might not be able to list everything that you've done in the year because you haven't been thinking about it. You've just been caught up in the work. The end of year's reviews are that time where you need to take some time and go through your records, your work records, and find all of the projects that you worked on. Be able to explain how you contributed to the success, how you displayed good workmanship through it, how you delivered quickly, these kinds of things that are beneficial to the company. For interview questions, look for questions specific to the role.
Yes.
So specific to what technology they're using, specific to what programming language they're using, specific to what kind of work they're doing. Make sure that you're able to answer generic questions as well, because there will be like Python 101 questions, right? You might not even use some of the answers in your real world job, but as soon as you get into an interview, there's going to be a set of questions that you get asked for every Python job.
Okay.
Right? Even if you don't use it, like you're going to look like you don't know the basics if you can't remember it. Let's say you haven't needed to do that for a couple of years, but you know how to Google it, or you remember doing it practically. They just want those things to be on the top of your head.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Tyler.